Hey, hello friends, and welcome back to this new Flutter tutorial. And in this we're going to be discussing about how to run background services using Flutter. So the Flutter does not really itself has any way to run the background service, because this is really a platform specific task, because iOS handles background services in a different way and Android in a different way. Speaking of Android, before before the 26th SDK, you could run services in the background without notifying the user at all. But after 26th SDK, so you will have to notify the users with a notification in the app notification bar that says this particular app is running in the background, and so on. So basically, even in the Android side, there are many modifications that you need to do to just run a background service. So for that purpose, when you create a Flutter app, you need to create a specific Android side code and a specific iOS side code. So I'll be doing the Android stuff here because I don't really know the iOS stuff. So what we need to do is, I want that when I click this button, the Start Background button, I want to start running a background service on the Android side. So for that specific reason, we have to go to this Android directory in your project. I have this background service project here that has this lib folder, and in the main.dart file I have this material app that has a home page and a single button in the center. A relatively simple code. So what I want to do is, when I click this button, I want to run that service. So for that, I'll go to the Android side, and when I click on the app and go to the Java code, this main.dart, and you can see, if you're in the Android Studio, you can see that there is an open for editing in Android Studio. I seriously suggest you to go to the Android Studio by clicking on this button in the new window, because there are a lot of features that you need to sync in the Android to use the IntelliSense. Because if you don't use the Android Studio for this specific Android project, you won't get the IntelliSense features, and most of the classes like Notification Compat or any other classes, you won't get suggestions for those kind of stuff. So just open that in the Android Studio. This is the sole Android project related to your Flutter app. So we get a main activity that extends the Flutter activity. So first things first, what we need to do is we get an onCreate method here, and this activity directly relates to the Android side native code. We have all methods like onStop and onStart and onDestroy. Everything is same. You just get a package here, the main activity. Okay. You get a Flutter activity. So what we want to do is to run a notification on the Android side, we need to create notification channels. After the API number 26, you need to create notification channels, and so we'll create that now. For that, we need to create a new Android application class. We'll call this my application. Okay, and it needs to extend Flutter application, because we need to extend the Flutter application, because this code is not gonna directly run in the JVM and all that stuff. This code is gonna get compiled to the Dart code and then so on. So here we create a new onCreate method, and now what we need to do is we want to specify this application class in the manifest like you do in Android Studio. So in the application class, you can see that there is the name given for the Flutter application. We want to replace that with the .myApplication class, and you're done for the application part. So we go to the My Application, and we just create a simple notification channel. We create a check if build.version.sdkint greater than is equal to build.versioncodes.o. That is the 26th API SDK, sorry. And now we need to create a notification channel. Notification channel is equal to new notification channel, and we'll give an ID and ID and a name. So I'll give this an ID of messages, and the name of messages, just for the sake of it. Sorry, messages, and the importance. For the importance, I'll give that notification channel dot importance low. Okay. Okay, so what I will do now is I'll create a notification manager. Notification manager is equal to get system services notification manager dot class, and now we need to register the channel. So here is manager dot create notification channel, and we pass in the notification channel just as this channel. So basically, in case of Android, after the 26th SDK, you need to create a notification channel. You'll create a separate notification channel for each type of notifications that you want to show in your application. For example, an app can listen to messages in the background, and for that you can create a message channel. And for services type of notifications, you can create a service channel. And once you register all those channels, you need to create notifications in that specific channel, so that the user, the one who is using your application, can shut a channel down, and they won't be able to see the notifications for that particular channel. So I hope you understood that, because that's really specific to Android. So here is the notification channel that we created, and now what we want to do is, and yeah, by the way, I created this channel in the My Application class because this is the right way to do it, because you want to register the channels as soon as your app starts. Because if the channel is not created and you want to create a notification in that channel, so that will give you an error. So as the application starts, using the My Application class, I created this channel. So now what I want to do is I want to create a new service, as you do in Android. So I name this My Service. Yeah, My Service, and I extend the service class. I need to import that service, and I need to implement the onBind method. So I won't do anything here. I just want you to see how you do that. And obviously I need to register that service in the manifest file. So what I do here is I add a service tag and My Service and / and close that. So yeah, you can also add exported to true and enabled to true. So I have this service here in the manifest file, and I close that. And yeah, my service is registered in the manifest. So we won't do anything in the service. You can do all kind of stuff like running a music player or whatever you want. So I'll just create this, close this My Service here. And yeah, one thing that we need to do in the My Service class is we want to create a notification if the API is greater than 26. So whenever the service is created, we want to create a notification. So for that, I'll just take this check from here. If the build version is greater than that, okay, and yeah, if the build version is greater than 0, so we will create a notification manager. Manager is equal to get system service notification manager dot class, and what we need to do is we need notification compat dot builder. Builder is equal to new notification compat dot builder, this and the channel that you want to run the notification in. So we created a channel. We need to give the channel ID here. So for the channel we created, we had the ID of messages, and we want to take this ID and put it here. So we have the channel ID, and now what we want to do is we want to set content text. So we'll say this is running in background. Yeah, that is fine. And set content title. Sorry, content title. We'll set the title to Flutter background. You can set that. Yeah, and we'll just build that. And yeah, also we need to sorry, we can't really build that here. We also need to set an icon. Set small icon, and I do have an icon here that is of the drawable. I have this Android icon here, so I'll just set that icon. I'll just close this one. r.drawable.icon. Yeah. So now what we want to do is we want to create the notification and want to start the service. So we want to start foreground, because after the Android 26, as you know, we have a check here. So if the API, if the SDK is greater than 26 or equal to 26, we need to start a foreground notification that can notify the user that the service is running in the background. So we start a foreground service, foreground notification service. We give it an ID and a notification. So for that, builder.build, that gives us the notification, and yeah, we're done for the service part. So actually we don't really need the manager here. Yeah, that's it. Oh, that's my bad. So we close this, and we have the channel created here. Closing my application class. So now what we want to do is we want to create the notification in the app now. So for that, what we can do is we can do start service. We also need to put the check here. If build dot version dot sdk int greater than equal to build dot version codes dot o. If the version is greater than or equal to O, we need to do start foreground, because all the services run in the foreground, or you need to do batch jobs and all that stuff. So we need to run a foreground service. What we need to do is we need to create an intent, private intent for service. We create a for service. For service is equal to new intent main activity this to my service dot class, and we give it the for service. So this is the way to run the service after the 26th API, and in the else case I do start service for service. And obviously yeah, so this service will run for indefinite amount of time. We don't really want that, so I'll just run this now. Okay, so now the app is running in the background, and you can see that we have this notification here. Flutter background, this is running in background, and even when we close the application, this service is running in the background, like you do in Android. So yeah, this is basically how you run the code in Android only. So now we want to do is we want to link the Flutter to this. So when we click the button, only then the service starts. Right now it's running straight away, like when the service starts, it's running right away. So one thing I need to do is I want to close the service. Okay. Yeah, I want to start the service here. So I'll just take this code and I'll just give that in a new method, private void start service, and I put that code here. So now what we want to do is we want to go to the specific Dart code that is running in our Dart project. I just want to remind you that whatever we were doing, we were having that in our separate Android project that we opened from here, this Android directory. Okay. So right now what we want to do is we want to go to the main.dart file, and we want to do some stuff here so that we can call the Android method of create service from the Dart code. So for that you need to create a method channel. So there is a class called, let me just create a new method. I'll give that a return type of void because we just want to start the service. We don't want to get any stuff here. If you want to get stuff, then you need to create a future and all that, because let's just start this here. We need to create void, or want to return void, and we name the method start service, or start service in platform. And we'll just do that. And we need to also check the platform. So what we'll do is if platform dot is Android, then what we want to do is we want to create a method channel. Method channel is equal to method channel, and here we want to give the name for the method channel. We'll give that. We want to create a method channel with a particular key. For the key part, I always used to use my package name. So we'll just pass in com.retroportalstudio.messages. Yeah, and invoke method. Which method do we want to invoke? So we'll pass a string here. We'll call that start service. Okay. So what this will do? Okay. So yeah, we have this here. We want to invoke the method, and basically when we invoke the method, just wait, invoke method channel dot, then we have a future here. So basically I don't want to do this here. I don't want to invoke the method here. We just create a method channel, and what we will do is we will have an await function variable. I'll just create a string data. If we return some data, we want to do that is equal to await method channel dot invoke method start service. Okay, so for having the await, we want to make this method async. Yeah, so what we're doing here is, I'll just call this method here start service in platform, and when we call this method, it will check the platform, and it will create a method channel method channel with this ID. And in that method channel, I will just call this method start service. We'll pass in the string with the method name here. And once the method execution is complete on the Android side, then the data will return, and that's why we are using await here. So once the data is returned, I'll just debug print that. Debug print with the data. Okay, so that's just it. So now we come back to the Android side in the Android part. Okay, so in the Android side, what we'll do is we'll create a new method channel, and we'll get the Flutter view. So that is the first argument for that. We'll get a Flutter view, and we'll pass in the second argument. That is the what is that? That is the ID that we pass in here. That is the com.retroportalstudio.messenger, was it? Messages, yeah. So messages, and we put in the set method call handler. So this set method call handler will then set the method call. We'll create a new method call handler. And yeah, so this is the interface, set method call handler. And in this interface, we'll check what method is being called from this method call object. We'll see if method call.method, that is the string dot equals, what string did we pass? Start service. That corresponds to this here, start service, invoke start service. And if this is the case, then what we want to do is we want to start service and return something, because we want to have this data here. We'll return service started, return, and for, yeah, what we want to do is we want to set the results. So for the results here, what we'll do is result.success, and we can pass any object. You can pass any of your custom objects or whatever you like. I'll just pass a simple string, that is service started. Yeah, service started, and the result is sent. So this is the stuff that you need to do. So let me just check the IDs here. com.retroportalstudio.messages, and we go, yeah, the ID is the same. So I'll just run this code. Okay, so we have the app running here and we have a start background, and you can notice that the service is not yet started. So when we click on this button, you can see that now the service is up and running, and when we click back from the app, the service itself is running. Okay, and even if you want to end the background service once the user exits the app, I don't know for what reason you want to do that, but yeah, if there is any scenario, then what we can do is we can just call the, we can just call the on destroy, and we can just end the service here like stop service, and with the intent to service, for service, yeah, for service. So this is it, and we run the app again, and on the Flutter side, oh, I just ran it in the Android, I guess. Okay, so here we have this yeah, app here. We have the start background, and we'll run that. There is the service, and when I click back, the service ends itself. So this is the simplest way. Let me just explain that whole shenanigan to you again. Okay, so the first thing that we have a button here, and what we wanted to do, when you click the start background, when you click on the start background, you want to start a service. For that, we create a new method. So for starting the service on the Android side, you had to go in the Android side of the code. So we went to the main activity, and you can see that this is full of errors here because it cannot resolve any of this stuff. Yeah, you can see that. So we run the code in the Android Studio. We run this Android directory in the Android Studio, and I have that here. So in the Android side, what we did was we created a service, and we mentioned that in the manifest file, and we created an application, my application, that extends the Flutter application class, not the application, not the multi-dex, but only the Flutter application, because this is this thing is running in a separate way than the native Android code. So we have the Android application here, and we extend that, and in the in this scenario we create a notification channel, because after the SDK number 26 you cannot just run the background services freely in Android. You need to create a notification channel that shows the user which services are running in the background. So we create a notification channel here after checking if the version code is greater than O, that is Oreo. So we create a notification channel as soon as the application starts, and we create a service, and as soon as the service starts, we create a notification up in the notification bar, and in the activity class that extends the Flutter activity, we create a new intent for running the service, and we create a new method that checks for the SDK version, and depending upon the SDK, it starts the service. If the SDK version is greater than 26, it starts the foreground service, or else it starts the service itself with the simple method of start service. So what we wanted to do, when we click on the button on the Flutter side, when we click on the button on the Flutter side, we call this method start service in platform. It checks for the Android and it creates a new method channel. So what the method channel does is it creates a channel between the Android part and the Flutter part, Flutter Dart part. So in that channel we can call as many methods as you want, and they run asynchronously between the platform and the Flutter so that the user interface does not get blocked or something. So we create an async await technique here, and we using this method channel with this particular ID, we invoke a new method that has the name of start service. Okay, you can just pass anything here, you just need to check that on the Android side. So I pass in the start service and I wait for the result. So as soon as I call this, we go to the Android side, and in the method channel here, I check for this channel ID and I set the method call handler. So in the method call handler, I check if the method call equals to this start service. If the method that we called in the Flutter side equals to the start service, then we run this method here, and then return the results as the service started. So this results can be asynchronous, like if you want to get something from the database or whatever you want to do, you can return this result whenever the final answer, you have retrieved the final answer. So you can also set result.error or not implemented. So this will return void. And yeah, when we close this, so we go to the back to Dart, and so when the execution of this method completes, it returns a string that we passed here, start service, and we debug print that. So when I run this app and I have this screen and the debug console here, and okay, so as the app is running and when I click on the start background, you can see that service started method is here because I returned it as soon as the service starts. So yeah, we have the results here from this screen. So, and you can see that when I click back, the service ends itself. So yeah, so basically this is it. You can run whatever code you want to run on the Android side. So I hope you learned much in this tutorial, and if you have any questions, you can post them in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer them all if I can. And for sure you can get this code on the GitHub. It's up on the GitHub. So yeah, do subscribe to my channel and do like the video if you learned anything. It helps a lot, and thank you for supporting my channel for so long, and keep suggesting me for new videos. I'll just keep making them for you. See you next time. Peace.